Welcome back to the channel, guys. Shit. Joe here from Jojo Coco Studio. Today we're going to be checking out the Define S2 by Fractal Design. So this case was recently launched, and we all know that quite a lot of specifications and the features is like very similar to the R6, but I'm not going to go through the specifications and the overview of this case because you can check out on like other cool tech YouTubers as well. But today I'm going to do something a little bit different. I'm going to go through a water cooling experience, see like how it fits. What can we use? What radiator sizes? You know, what pump spaces do we have? Just get the experience of like, you know, water cooling this case. So let's dive right in, guys. All right, first things first, I guess we should put this on the floor so that we don't break anything, as some of them is quite fragile. Righty-ho, so let's get started with just removing the side panel, the tempered glass side panel. And one cool thing about this case is that it doesn't have thumb screws around it. It's behind over here, and they're held with pegs as well, so it looks really nice and clean. I love the design. And once we're in here, you would know that this case is specifically designed for water cooling because you can see that the case is really long and it's really spacious on the front. Today we're going to be doing a typical custom water cooling loop where we have a pump res combo in front. And as you can see here, there are mounting holes for the reservoirs, which is a thumbs up for a good water cooling case. As you can see here, there's plenty of space for graphics card and it won't be obstructed by the reservoir as well. There's also a detachable PSU compartment at the front as well. So this is pretty good if you have a really long reservoir and you need the extra space. Oh, by the way, guys, let me just quickly install the motherboard onto the case so that we can keep rolling the video. These are HyperX Fury by Kingston, and we're gonna be putting 16 gigabytes of RAM, taking up all the slots. Oh. Okay, so the first thing you see once we install the motherboard onto the case is that the RAM might have a clearance issue with the radiator or with the fans. So according to the documentations, the RAM clearance or the max RAM height is 35 millimeters tall, which of course that only implies to if you're using a 420 or a 140 radiator on the top. Today we're going to be using a 420, so hopefully that is not a problem. I believe this RAM height is around 35. So if a case is specifically designed for water cooling, I personally think that they should all have this mounting bracket for the radiator because it's really nice and easy to install the radiator. Notice that there's also a drainage port as well. So that's very handy when we put in the liquid into the reservoir. Today we're going to be using, as I mentioned earlier, a 420 radiator, and it's by Bitspower. It's the Leviathan 420. This is the slim version as well, so it's nice and slim. And as for the fan, I'm not going to be using the stock fan. I'm going to be using the Venturi HP 14. These are 14 millimeters as well, and they go up to 1,500 RPM. PWM, by the way, so it looks really nice and jet black. Okay, so what I noticed while I was just trying to test fit the radiator, I noticed that I can't, oh Jesus, I noticed that I can't put the 420 by just putting it through the top. Looks like I have to put it through the bottom, and also I don't have clearance for the fan at the back as well. So it looks like I have to remove this fan, which is kind of unfortunate, but if I have the chance to try fit it in, I'll definitely give it a try. If I slowly slide that in. Right, the reason why I want it to work is because I can't be bothered to take out the fans and put it back in again. Alright, I give up. Screw it. I don't want to force it because I just don't want to break anything. Guess we have to do it the traditional way. Okay. Now you see the problem of mounting it traditionally, you have to have like two hands and it's like quite inconvenient, but that's, I mean, it's not like the end of the world, but like it would be cool if I could just fit that in, right? If it worked. So I guess like smaller radiators will not have a problem at all. That's definitely for sure. So my plan is to use a 280mm radiator by Bitspower. This is the Leviathan as well, and the slim version as well, just like the little brother of the 420. What I noticed is that we just can't simply put it onto it, which is not a big deal, because we have this detachable compartment that we can take off, and we have to note that the width of the radiator must not exceed 147, because I think the max width of this is like 147 or so. So this should not be a problem. Alright, there you go. I've noticed in some of the comments, like in my previous videos, you might ask, why are the fans this way? That is because we are doing a pull configuration. Pull configuration is basically a fan that pulls air going in. And the one on top, which is the 420 radiator, that's a push configuration. FYI, so I don't have to repeat myself. And as for the temperatures, no, they don't vary that much. Apparently it's only like 1 or 2 degrees difference, according to I think Bitwit has actually tested this already. So Fractal Design has provided us these mounting brackets, which obviously they go over here. There's 2 of them. Then we put a reservoir here. Alright, so let's assemble the D5 mod kit. So obviously this is the D5 pump at its bare bones. Then we have this mod kit right here. So it's kind of like a outer shell, or you can call it like a kind of a heat sink. Actually, it's not really a heat sink. It's more of a nice looking shell. So you just put it in there. Then of course we have the mod top, or the top itself, like that. Okay, that looks good. Just put it there. Okay, so don't forget the most important thing, the O-ring here. Then we just simply screw it in. There you go. The thing is, we want a pump res combo like this, right? So all we have to do is move these stump plugs, and then we're gonna block the out because this is going to be only in. This thing is kind of like an air filler or something. Not sure if you really need it, but it came with it, but just whatever. We'll just put it in there. All right, and it just simply goes in like that. All right, so that's pretty much done. So I've actually added the Anticyclone so that it prevents from having a cyclone. And also this, I don't know what's this called, but like it's kind of like a straw going so that you can have the water levels underneath this so it just doesn't create that much bubbles. Let's get back to the case. All right, so we've got to mount this res over here, and voila, there you go. Alright guys, so I guess at this point we've passed all the clearance issues, because from then on it's just up to your creativity how you want to bend your tubes and all that. So what we saw earlier is that the 420 radiator ate up quite a lot of space. We're unable to put a fan at the exhaust at the back of the case, which is quite unfortunate. But the rest of the mounting mechanism, it's like super fine. I mean, I'm pretty happy with it. As you can see here, the reservoirs is nicely mounted onto the reservoir area as well, which is pretty good. So I guess from now, I'm just gonna do a quick montage of like the custom water cooling loop, and just want to point out some like pretty cool stuff. So I'm gonna be using this HyperX SSD Savage in the build as well. And of course, we're going to be using the 1070 Ti, the titanium. We have to replace this with a water block, actually, with a Bitspower water block, which I'll show you in a minute, but it looks pretty cool, actually. And I also plan to put the graphics card in a vertical mounting position, because this particular case has a mounting GPU vertically. And I guess last but not least, we're gonna be using a Seasonic Prime Titanium, which is like 850 watts. Pretty cool power supply. Apparently they have like a European Hardware Award, so awesome. And there it is, everybody. So this is pretty much done. And as you can see here, I forgot to mention about this cable right here. These are actually by Cable Mod, and they're actually custom sleeved as well, specifically for the Seasonic power supply underneath the PSU shroud. So overall, this is a pretty pleasant water cooling experience I've actually had with this case. And I just want to talk a little bit about the loop. And so as you can see here, it starts off over here from the pump, and then it goes to this really cool looking flow indicator by Bitspower. Goes along here and then goes into the 420 millimeter radiator. Then it comes out and then it goes into the CPU, nice and cool, runs along there. Then it goes all the way back and it reaches behind this reservoir. Then it goes into this 280 millimeter radiator, comes out on this tube, and then goes to this really cool looking filter by Bitspower as well. And then eventually it just goes through the GPU, and once it goes through the GPU, it then goes to the reservoir. So if I had to revisit this loop or maybe re-water cool this Define S2, what will I use? Definitely I will use a 360 millimeter radiator on top, and also maybe a 240 millimeter radiator at the front. That is because we'll have a lot more room to work with. We won't get stuck with this 35 millimeter height clearance for the RAM, and also we might not run into this case where we can't put a exhaust fan at the back. I've actually seen another tech YouTuber's video. I think his name is Optimum Tech. You should check out his channel. I'll put the link in the description. He's actually used a 360 millimeter radiator on top, and I think he used a 240 radiator at the front as well, and it looks really nicely fitted. And I think he didn't have this kind of gap as well, so it looks pretty good as well. Maybe you should check out his video. As for the reservoir, as you notice that I used the 150 mils, the multi-tank Z by Bitspower. As you can see here, there's still enough space for maybe a 200 mils instead, so that could be an option if you're looking into having this kind of configuration. Alright guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this video and this really awesome adventure with the Define S2 water cooling session. If you like this video, don't forget to press the like button and subscribe if you haven't, because I'm gonna be doing some more computer related stuff, some water cooling, some really cool computer events, and also some modding as well very soon. So I hope you guys check out my channel if you haven't seen my other stuff as well. So you can click right here, or maybe somewhere around this space, this YouTube space. See you later. Take care. Bye guys.